I wanted to ask you, first of all, how important, can spirituality exist outside of the religious framework?
What is important when it comes to spirituality is for us as Muslims to understand the definition, because the problem that we have in the West is very often spirituality is understood versus religions, and the problem is that we don't know exactly what spirituality is all about. From an Islamic perspective, this is important and very deep. It's a very deep teaching that we have from the very beginning of Islam, was the Prophet's companions, for example. Some of them were more spiritual than others, but what does it mean exactly?
Before we go into that, can I just ask, what do you make of this attempt to consider spirituality? You said outside of the religious framework, because historically it is seen to be part of the religious framework. So is this something new, or is it historical?
No, it's not new. It's something that we had from the beginning. The problem is it's sometimes the people who are talking like this are confusing between spirituality and emotions. Is the way I feel, which the way I am with nature, the way I was with the environment, the way I can feel about life. Spirituality is not about this. So this is why I started by saying we can't go into this discussion if you don't start by defining the words that we are using. And in Islam, if you come to the Arabic language, you don't have one word to translate spirituality. Because if you come to rohaniya, which has to do with the ruh, which is the soul, and then what we have, يسألونك عن الروح قل الروح من أمر ربي وما أوتيتم من العلم إلا قليلا. They are asking you about the soul, and the soul is from the secrets of God, and you were only given little knowledge about this. So there is something which has to do with the ruh in you. It's this soul, the spirit in you. The second word is كونوا ربانيين. Be imbibed, full of God's presence. Rabb, it's the Lord, so you have to be close. So you can understand here that the second word is connecting this life within with the Tawheed, which is the oneness of God. The second is come back to yourself. And there is a third word which has to do with tazkiyah. Tazkiyah is this purification of the self. And when you come to understand spirituality from an Islamic perspective, you have to connect the three words, the three notions to understand. One, there is a spirit within you that has to be connected with the Lord, with God. And the way you are going to connect with the Lord is through a purification process. So the soul inside needs an effort, a struggle with your own self to come close to Him. This is spirituality. This is the very essence of spirituality in Islam, and this is why it's connected with transcendence, with the oneness of God, with the very notion of Tawheed, and then it has to do with the purification process. And how are you going to go through this purification process? You go through this process by coming back to the rituals, and coming back with this mastering, controlling yourself. So there is an effort to free yourself from your ego. Freedom comes with discipline. So this is where there is in Islam something which is a deep understanding of spirituality that cannot be disconnected from the religious framework. And in fact, the religious framework is the only way for you to free yourself and to go towards this spiritual experience.
But some people would actually argue quite to the contrary, and they would say that actually religion constrains you, and because the rituals constrain you from making that connection, making that rub with
yes,
God.
This is something that we can find in the West, and why? Because through a very specific historical experience, for example, if you look at Christianity, but even if you come to Islam, I will come back to this, but to look at Christianity, they were so much focusing on rules, on the framework, on the rituals, that the rituals took the whole space and they were not connected to the meaning. So at the end, we are dealing with formalism, with, this is what you have to do, this is the way you have to pray, and then the very meaning of what are you doing this? The very meaning of praying was just you pray because you have to pray. No, you pray to remember Him. You pray with a purpose. You pray with a meaning, and the meaning of thing is exactly what spirituality should be. So there is a historical experience saying religion came to impose a structure and to be empty of meaning. So what we have to do is to reconcile the meaning with the rituals. So for example, and this is what we find with some Muslims and some scholars today, they are so quick by saying halal, haram, do this, and it's all about formalism, it's all about the rituals, and okay, where is my heart in all this? Yes, I have to pray 5 times a day. Why? Tell me which impact it has to do on me. It has to do on me something which has to do with the purification process, is the way you deal with your own self, to come back to the center. When you have a very powerful verse in the Quran, وَعَلَمُوا أَنَّ اللَّهَ يَحُولُ بَيْنَ الْمَرْءِ وَقَلْبِ, and remember that Allah intervenes, Allah's knowledge is between you and your own heart. What does it mean? Come back. So you pray to come back to the self, not just to come with the gesture. And then, look, we have it even in the Quran when the Arabs, the Bedouins, were saying, we are Muslim. قَالَتِ الْأَعْرَابُ آمَنَّا. We say we believe it. قُلْ لَمْ تُؤْمِنُوا وَلَكِنْ قُولُوا أَسْلَمْنَا وَلَمَّ يَدْخُلِ الْإِيمَانُ فِي قُلُوبِكُمْ. No, say that you are following the rules, but faith is not entering your heart. So this is where it's very important for us to understand through what we listen to in the West. We say, religions are about structure. It could be true that we ourselves as Muslims are doing exactly the same. So for us, no spirituality without rules, but no rules without meaning. Because if there are rules without meaning, we are lost and we are creating a structure, oppressive structure, where it's all about limits and not about light.